Okay, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about weather and how it affects your fishing on Fishing Planet here. So, if you guys didn't know or don't fish in real life, a general rule of thumb that most fishermen agree on is fish bite best in high pressure or when pressure is coming from high to low, like for example, before a storm. That doesn't play out so much in Fishing Planet like I thought it would, but there are some things that do translate over. Now, everybody's going to hear something on this, and everybody's going to, as what we call on the channel, bro science. Somebody says something, and it gets repeated a million times. But for me personally, believe it or not, um, pressure itself is probably the most important weather factor out of all of them. And to be honest with you, I just noticed that low pressure in the game, especially places like White Moose, are a lot slower when it is low pressure. Now, there are exceptions to this rules, guys, like every rule in Fishing Planet. um, but walleye, for example, I'll just use that as one example. Walleye are definitely, but they bite more in the low pressure in this game. But I don't change my depths a whole lot. Now, in real life, low pressure means most of the time fish are going to be on the bottom. High pressure fish are going to be more active and towards the top. Now, that does seem to play out in Fishing Planet a lot, as the low pressure days seem to be bite a lot slower on most species, like we're saying. And on high pressure, it seems to be the better days in a lot of places. Now, how it affects my fishing directly on low pressure, honestly, I make small changes. For example, a lot of you guys know Predator Hunt, the chain pike one at Emerald Lake. I barely move, or I don't move my depth at all. Sometimes I'll go a little bit lower in the rain, but that's about it. So, for example, if I was fishing at I normally fish at one at around 20 or 25. I might go to 30 or 35 inches deep. So I don't change the dress, like a crazy amount. Like, I'm not going to the bottom of the lake. It doesn't seem to affect that much on it. But there are some other things. Now, wind is an interesting one for me because I've really tried paying attention to that in the last year or so. And I can tell you, it can make your day good or bad sometimes, but it doesn't have a rule. Like, high wind isn't going to be great fishing, and low wind isn't going to be great fishing. It just, the days are different. That's basically what it is. And one thing too that I will note with that is the biggest thing I find with wind is it affects your cast. So pay attention to the wind on your, if you're like, I can't figure out why I'm casting, 5 feet to the left, it's probably your wind, guys. That's one thing to, try to pay attention to. And also, sometimes temperature plays a factor as well, as you see a lot in, for example, Russia. Colder temperatures generally will slow down the fishing a little bit as well. But, like I said, these are very minimal changes, guys. When I don't change my fishing a whole lot for weather in this game. It isn't crazy. Low pressure doesn't mean you have to go directly to the bottom, just like high pressure doesn't mean you go directly to the top. Now, there is, different, exceptions to that rule. When I'm in Alaska, a good example is a low pressure day. I'm on the bottom a lot. Salmon seem to be affected most by it in the game. And I go high on high pressure days. I'll fish the top third up there, and I'll fish the bottom third on low pressure days. So just keep that in mind, folks. All right, so you're probably asking, how does it really affect your fishing? For me personally, I don't change a whole lot in the different weather. I'll make small adjustments. For example, White Moose is one of the best examples, or trout and salmon are the best examples of pressure because they seem to be the most affected by it. These 2 days, Not the great day 2 and day 3, as you can see on here. Not the greatest days for fishing up here. You'll still catch uniques and whatnot, but the bite rate just seems to slow down. This day up here is insane. You'll make a ton of money and have no, this is probably the easiest day to fish at white moose. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean I won't fish these days. I still fish these days. And honestly, the changes I make are very small outside of Alaska. Alaska is the one place where I do make very, I'll fish the bottom on a low pressure day and I'll fish high. So, as a rule of thumb, on a high pressure day, fish higher. In a low pressure day, fish lower, because what happens is the fish get in real life, and it seems to play that role a little bit here, is fish get kind of um, uncomfortable in low pressure and start to go deep in water, and they'll settle down. And they get kind of lethargic. But anyway, like I said, it does not change a whole lot though for me in Fishing Planet. For example, like I still fish these days. I just might do a slightly slower retrieve and it might be a little lower and not a whole lot. But wind then generally doesn't play much of a role for me other than casting. And also, I mean, obviously, weather is directly related to your pressure. So I don't go by sunny, um, cloudy, or partly cloud, or like snowy days. They don't seem to make a huge difference. Normally, when it's raining, you're not going to catch a whole lot outside of walleye in the game, and there, but that's also because it's a low pressure day. Now, that being said, there are on weather days, for example, it will make a difference what I use on carp, because on carp, on sunny days, I use fruit type stuff, and on cloudy days, I use fishy flavors. And that's, as a rule of thumb, a lot of people do that. But outside of that, guys, that's how weather affects my fishing. Now, I'm not saying, that it might be different for you. Just try it out for yourself. But that's the changes I make. And that's why I generally don't include weather a lot in my videos, because it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. I will in the comp videos, because it does affect it slightly. But on my unique guides and exploration guides, generally weather isn't going to play a big role. Anyway, guys, hopefully this helps you out. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.